see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move.
G'day everybody, it's Seano here and we're back with a little bit more Supercoach content. Thought we'd jump on and do a live video, the grand final Supercoach week edition. Won't say it's the last live video for the week because we've got the new Supercoach finals game coming up for the final series, so maybe we will jump on and do some more live videos. But this is going to be the last one for normal Supercoach, and hopefully you guys are in a few of your finals. I've got some grand finals in your leagues and hopefully you're going to win. Before we go any further, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We're still trying to make 300 before the end of the season. Probably going to be a little bit tough now, but if you are watching, if you could hit that subscribe button for me, that would help a lot. And yeah, also if you like the video, give me a like and leave a comment down below. So round 24 live chat video. Alright, let's get into it. So if you missed my review video, if you want to go back and check that out and like that one as well, that would be really nice. But we'll do a little bit of a recap. This week we got a very nice score of 2,643, which took us up 1,073 places, so 5,807 is where we're at our season rank, and we're kind of, with 1 week to go, maybe we crack the top 5,000, drop another 800 places. We'll have to get another big score, probably 2,500 plus to do that, but it's possible. My team is still reasonable. We don't have too much carnage, we don't think yet, even though we haven't seen the full teams until this evening. We've only got the Thursday night teams at the moment. But yeah, overall, we're going to chat about, of course we're going to do one more review video, but so far we're pretty happy with this season rank. As I've said all season, I think I think a pass mark for me, where I'm at in my Supercoach journey, is top 10%, which would mean 19,000, because there's 196,000 people playing. Even though out of those 196,000, I'd probably assume that there's probably 50,000 people who have just given up. You know, they're playing the first half of the season or something, or they've had a bad start, and then they've just not bothered to, you know, do anything with their teams or anything. So maybe we could say pass marks like top 15,000, something like that for me. But so a rank of 5,800, I'm pretty happy with that, especially considering it hasn't been the greatest season for me, and to still be ranked in that rank I think is pretty nice. Yeah, it could have been a better season. I've made a few mistakes with trades and things, so yeah, it could have been better, but you know, we do what we do. actually, let's pop out the chat so we can see you guys. And if you're out there, don't forget to say g'day. Always like these live videos because I get to talk to you guys out in the community. So drop by and say g'day. Right, let's have a look at the actual team. We'll do a quick scan of how we went. You know, backline was pretty good. This week we've already set up the team for this week, so we're accounting for Rankinine being out, even though the suspension has not been handed down yet. But as far as I'm aware, he's been found guilty of it. They're just trying to work out what the suspension should be. Adelaide Crows are throwing everything at it, you know, claiming that Snoop Dogg's lyrics are no good, so he shouldn't be, he shouldn't be fined. I think they're throwing everything at the wall and hoping that it sticks. I feel a big suspension coming on myself. If it's anything to go from what earlier ones we've seen this year and last year, I think he's probably going to cop at least 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not going to jump in there and say whether I think that's fair or not. That's just what they've been giving, and players should know by now that it's pretty dumb to go around saying stuff like that. They're going to get jumped on and punished pretty severely for those type of things. So, yep, dumb thing for him to do. So as you can see, I've swapped things around where I put Sinclair in the midfield, so I can get Clark on the field here because I've got no coverage on the midfield bench. So this way it gives me, instead of having 22, I've now got 20. I've got 23 players again. So yep. So Clark will come on there just in case he has a decent score, and we've got. So I've been the trading hasn't been great, and as you can see, I didn't get the 23rd primo, or the 24th primo, 23rd or 24th. Don't have a primo here on the bench, but I've never had less than. My flex has always been playing, which I think has helped me out a lot, holding a few trades more than other people, and just working my team, so it's quite flexible with DPP position players. So, yep, backline, they did quite well. Nice scores out of Bailey Dale and Zorko with 120 pluses. Midfield, Bont was my captain, did very well. Almost the entire midfield did well. Obviously, Sinclair was back there, so, he did average. Marek got me the 89, which is all we could afford when we got him in for Young, who got injured. So we'll take that 89 every day of the week. And yeah, the two big scores in the ruck, very nice. And then the forward line, we had a big score out of Bailey Smith, and what seems to be pretty common now is no one else gets a score over 100 in the forward line. So that seems to be kind of the way it's going lately. So this week, a quick trades. We've got no trades, so we don't have to talk about that. If you do have trades and you're looking to get someone out for Rankinine, I had a bit of a look. I think, good options this week are Geelong players. You could go for, I don't like picking key forwards at any stage. So even Jeremy Cameron, I think I'd prefer in my other team where I had a trade left. It came down to who I could afford, but I'd prefer the other two Geelong players really in Brian Myers or even Manor. I think they're both. They don't have the upside of a huge score that Jeremy Cameron could get, but I think they're going to be more consistent for you. So if you needed a replacement for Rankinine and you've already got all the standard forwards, I think I'd be looking at one of those two Geelong guys if you could afford them, Manor or. Who else? The other guy, Brian Myers. I hope it's Grind. We can have a quick look, see if there's anybody else that we really think. So filters, forwards. So Rankinine's 507. So, Luke Jackson, you could have a go, but it's probably a tough game for him this week against the Bulldogs. He's got English. If he plays in the ruck, if he plays in the midfield, they've got a good midfield. It's going to hopefully be a good game, this one. And whoever wins makes the finals. So I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If you must win. If you win, you make the finals, and if you lose, you get knocked out for either team. So kind of surprising, as I feel like watching the Bulldogs, they feel like one of the better teams, but I mean, and Freo as well, really, and they're not even going to make the finals, one of them, so going to be pretty disappointing for one of those teams, I would say. And so, yeah, Matthew Kennedy is, you know, if you don't have him, you could get him in. He's also probably a very valid option. I don't know if I'd be risking the Liam Baker and that playing against Sydney this week. It's going to be a tough match for the Eagles this week, and Sydney are a team that don't allow a lot of Supercoach points. So, like, here we go. Yeah, Jeremy Cameron. This is the problem with Jeremy Cameron. You can get him in. He could score huge, but he could also get you a 46. Or I think if you go with the Brian Myers, you're more likely to get... He's not going to drop you a 46. On a bad day, he's probably might get you an 80. So that's why I'd probably prefer to go there. I mean, maybe you could go Zach Bailey. He had a really good week last week. You know, so both of those guys are very low owned as replacements. Who else could you go? I think the other one we said was Sean Manor, right? So he had a good week last week as well, I believe. We are looking at just forwards. Maybe not as good as I thought. I thought he had a very good week last week. Shannon Neal. So I think that would be, you know, if you're thinking about getting someone for Rankine, I think one of those guys. And I know a lot of people like to push those key forwards, but honestly, if it's the difference between me winning my grand final Supercoach and not winning my grand final Supercoach match, I'm going to pick the guy who isn't going to drop a big turd in my team. And so I'm not picking the key forward. I'm going to pick the guy who is going to get, you know, even on a bad day, is still going to get you a 70 or an 80 instead of the key forward who could potentially get you a 30. I mean, you could go Jack Gunston here and he could get you 157, or he could get you a 57. You just don't know. So I think if my Supercoach Grand Final was, you know, on the lines, I'd be picking the safer player. I wouldn't be going for the, you know, the Hail Mary. I'd be going for, you know, a safe score and hoping, you know, that's going to be enough to get me over the line. So if we go back to my team, as for captain or just in general for the community, captain and vice captain choices, I think looking at the matchups, there's a good matchup with Geelong versus Richmond. So that's where I'm going. I think I'm going to vice captain Bailey Smith. And then Bonta's been so good. I know he could have a tough matchup against Freo this week, but it is at home at Marvel. And, you know, when the going gets tough, the Bonta gets going. So, you know, you're going to assume that he's going to get a decent score. So I'm going to go vice captain Bailey Smith. You could have a go at Holmes again. Is he going to get tagged by Richmond? Probably not. So he hasn't had the best couple of weeks. We've kind of been tagging him as we've been saying he's a good captain choice the last couple of weeks, and he hasn't quite delivered. So, you know, maybe this is his week, maybe not. Bailey Smith, though, same. Do they rest him if they're winning by, you know, a mile in the last quarter? They give him a bit of a rest? Possibly, but then they've got a rest next week anyway, don't they, before the finals? So I don't think you really, you know, better to let them play out the game, but they might sit a little bit time on the bench if they are actually killing it. So Adelaide versus North, if you've got Jordan Dawson, maybe he's a sneaky vice captain choice. For Collingwood, Melbourne did say they were considering tagging or putting time into Dacos. So, I mean, you could go Dacos, but I'd probably, just because they said that doesn't mean they're going to do it. But maybe there are safe options. I think Max Gawn is pretty safe, even though he's playing Collingwood. He has a good record against Collingwood. 131, 122 and 132 in his last few games. So I think Max Gawn is a reasonable pick. Who else have we got? So if I was going to go it's hard to pick a number one. There's even the Port Adelaide and the Gold Coast game. You could have a sneaky go at Matt Rao or Zach Butters. Maybe, last game under Hinkley for Butters, maybe he goes and puts a big one out there. So maybe he is an option as well. Sydney play the West Coast, so if you got Grundy, if Grundy gets named, he could be, and if he gets named as a solo ruck, if Adams, or however you say him, the Adams family gets named, he maybe his score won't be as huge, but he is playing the Eagles, who basically don't have a ruck. I'm sorry, Flinny, as an Eagles supporter, but you just don't cut it against the big boys, and so I think he is a very valid choice. But I think safest houses is Bont. I've been just slapping the vice captain or the captain on him every week. Sometimes I think we overthink it a little bit when it comes to matchups. When players like Bont, it doesn't really matter. So yes, since round 15. So round 15 he got a 177. Then he had that 63, which we're all like, ooh, that's un-Bont-like. But since that 63, so since round 17, he's gone 133, 174, 126, 169, 151, 125, and 148, which are all very valid captain scores. So definitely thinking that safest houses, if your vice captain doesn't work, chuck it on Bont. It's going to be a good game. It should be highly contested. Just the type of game that Bont is going to love. And he should bang out a big score. So I think more the side of this week's vice captain and captain choices is if you don't have Bont, or who you're going to do for your vice captain. In my team, Bailey Smith or Max Gawn are the two that I'm thinking of. Still kind of undecided, but maybe we go Bailey's. I'm tempted. I do think that Bailey Smith could get rested, but I'm not too sure that that's going to happen. So, we could go Max Gawn. We could change our mind. So, pretty much that's who we're thinking, crew, what we're thinking about this week. Now, I'll give you a quick look at my other teams. So, I know we're here for Supercoach, but my AFL fantasy team, we had a very decent score last week again, and overall ranking of 12,181 with this team here. So we've got Rankinine, we traded him out. You get 2 trades every week here, and we've got in Manash. We got in Sean Manor and a rookie to make some money. So that's what we did with this week. And with this team, we've got lots of loopholes. At this time of the season, with 2 trades every week, we've worked it. So we've got Connor Rosie and Butters here, both on the bench. If they get decent scores, they'll hold. If they don't get a decent score, I'll bring in McCarthy to see if he can get a better score. In this format, it's a little bit different. I'm going vice captain Gawn into the captain Rowan Marshall in this format. So had a pretty good season here, 12,100. I'll take that ranking in fantasy. I do feel like I'm a better Supercoach player than a fantasy player. So 12,000 I think is a very respectable score. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you how many teams are in the comp. It used to, and then they stopped doing it a few years back. So there was one stage where this used to be more popular than Supercoach, but I believe now that Supercoach might have more players than AFL Fantasy. Not that we would know, but I believe I saw that, and then I wondered if that was the reason they took down the number, because they didn't want to show, but I would like to know, I would like to know how many people playing, because 12,000, if I'm ranked 12,000 and there's only 20,000 people playing, that's not very good. But if I'm ranked 12,000 and there's 500,000 people playing, well, that's pretty good. So, it'd be interesting to know, but I don't know anyway, you can find out. And then the last one is my sports deck team. We are in the grand final in my 2 leagues in this team. Like I mentioned, if you like Supercoach, this is based in exactly the same format, but the scoring is the same as the other one we just looked at, AFL Fantasy. So it's more on possessions, more on just disposals. The more disposals you get, the better score you get. and it doesn't punish you as much for your efficiency or if you do get punished if you give away free kicks and stuff, but not as harshly as you do in Supercoach. So this is a good practice wheels, I would say, if you are learning Supercoach and you want to either just have another team which you can play around with, which is kind of how I use it. This is the play around team. And so, I think it's a bit of fun to have it on the side. Plus, if you don't get to trade in your Supercoach, it gets rid of those, if you got the urge to trade every week in Supercoach like I do, but you shouldn't, sometimes you can just trade in here and that kind of makes you happy. You get that trade, it's like an addiction to trading. You can have a trade here. And the same with the fantasy game where you get 2 trades every week. I find sometimes that stops me doing stupid trades in Supercoach. Not that I didn't do quite a few stupid trades this year, but as you can see, this team is a very good team. As I've said before, the money goes a little bit further. Even though players are priced at $1 million, you get probably in comparison more money at the beginning, which allows you to get an extra primo or so. Here I actually have the 24 primos. Well, Tim Kelly, I don't know if I'd call him a primo, but he's there on the bench anyway. I've got someone who can score a decent score on the bench. He's not a rookie. I mean, it's a 59 is pretty much a rookie score, but hopefully he can do better. And this week I'm doing the same thing with Rosie. If Rosie gets an average score, again, we'll put McCarthy in. Otherwise, if he gets a good score, we will keep his score. So that's that team. I really like this team. I wish my Supercoach team looked like this team with Sheasel, Holmes, Sinclair, Whitfield, Clark and Rosie. That's probably very close to being, a top 6 defence. Then you got Bontempelli, Rao, Dawson, Dacos, Liberatore, Brayshaw, Butters and Sarong. The only one I'm not super happy about there is Sarong. This year's performance. Marshall and Gawn. In this format, Marshall is very good. Just to give you an idea, Marshall was the number 1 ruck last year in this format. So for some reason he scores very well in this format. So I'm very happy with that ruck line. And then Smith, Warner, McRae, Daniel. I've got in Baker in. I had trades left in here, so we got Baker in to replace Rankinine. He was all I could afford. So hopefully he can get a reasonable score. I'm a little bit worried about that in playing Sydney this week, but hopefully he does okay. So I'm in 2 grand finals with this one. So predicted to win both of them. As you can see, predicted to get 2,300. So this top one, this bottom one predicted to be a bit closer. But as you can see, both times I finished in the top 4. In this league, I finished in 2nd, and in this league, I finished in 4th. Won my first match, which made me skip through to round 23. Won that match reasonably convincingly in both of them, and now we are in the finals. We're versus Ken in one and Idaho Loves Coxie in the other one. Ken's Tigers and one Idaho Loves Coxie. So good luck to me. Hopefully we'll at least get 1 premiership at the end of the season. Now, if you guys hadn't already realised, if you go back to home, we have the new Supercoach Finals game available to have a look at. So I've had a quick look. You click up here. Now, create or join a league. I think we will make a league. Join a private league. How about, can we create a private league? Can we create a... Do we join a private league? Join league. Join a public league. Join a new... Can I make my own? Create a league. Okay, we're going to call it Seano Seano YouTube League. Or we'll just call it Seano YT League. Why don't we do that? So if anyone of you guys out there want to join this league description, YouTube, create my private league. Right, so there's the league code, everybody, 219935. I'm going to put it in chat. What are we going to say? SC Finals League Code equals SC Finals League Code. Do that, and can we pin it to the top? Not that anyone said hello to me yet, but there we go. So it's pinned. So there we go. If you would like to join this league, jump in there. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. So there we go. There's a league. If you guys are interested in playing the Supercoach Finals game and being in my league, jump in. Hopefully we will. If we don't get much attention, we'll chuck it up on a few other forums and see if we can get some other people to join in. But hopefully enough of you guys are out there watching that you will join. We still got 2 weeks until that starts. Still got another week before finals. So let's have a look. We had a quick look at teams. Oh, is this okay? It's changed format on us already. It's only been here a day and it's changed formats already. So basically, it's still it's available now. Yesterday the vice captain options weren't available. So listening to some other content creators, I've been told that your captain score is 3 times the score, which, you know, I don't know if that's true or not. Scoring, does it point scoring? Points scored to your team each week are based. Yep. You're set a captain who will score triple points and a vice captain who will score double points. Can also be named captain or vice. So you're going to get extra points for your vice captain and your captain. Triple points for your captain, double points for your vice captain. So not the same way as not the same as normal Supercoach, where your vice captain, you don't get the double points here. So he's going to be very important to pick both a very good vice captain and a very good captain. Now, obviously my team might change next week because the Bulldogs might not even be in it. If Freo are in it, they might change. But I did a quick look, and this is kind of the team I came up with. Let's. What about if we were to? Can we get rid of them? Trade. Let's do it all again. Let's do it all again when I'm here with you guys. We'll just get rid of everyone and we'll have a look at who's available. Maybe we'll see someone that we like better. So, all right, if we go to start off with defenders. Have a look and see who we've got available here. So, like I said, I do like, out of all of them, I mean, it might be slightly matchup dependent, but you would think in the finals everyone's going to be, you know, you're going to be tough matchups all the way. It's not like anyone's going to be playing West Coast or Richmond or anything like that. So, looking at all these players, I do like the 2 GWS players, and I figure if one doesn't go big, maybe the other one goes big. I think also Clark and Dale are both very valid options here. I wouldn't be picking too many others. I don't think. If I look down, there's nobody else that I feel kind of safe with. If I'd be picking out of Ash, Whitfield, Clark, Dale, maybe Zorko, but he's been a bit inconsistent lately. Maybe Rory Laird and maybe Josh Dacos, but that'd be my pick. So that's I'd pretty much be sticking to one of those top 4, I would think. Then when it comes to midfield, well, if the Bulldogs make it through, which kind of hope they don't, just for my Freo fans, otherwise I'm going to have to listen to them being sad and all mopey for the next 6 months about how they didn't make the finals. But if they do, I think Bont is a lock. And then I think you got some good choices here. I think you can choose whoever you like. You could go Me personally, I think maybe I expect Nick Dacos to stand up in the final, so maybe I got Dacos. And then Dunkley's been going very well, and Jordan Dawson's been going very well. You know, maybe we go Jordan Dawson, there we go, something like that. Then for the rucks, I don't understand why is Sydney not making the finals. Is Sydney not in the finals? Is Grundy not available because they're not in the finals? I'm pretty sure they were in the finals, right? Is it just me, or is it just me, the ladder? No, they're not. So that's why there's no Grundy. Okay, makes sense. Checks out. So then out of your rucks, who do you want? Jackson? Well, you know Jackson can be... If I knew that Darcy wasn't playing, I'd lock Jackson in. But with Darcy playing, it could be a little bit up down. I mean, he only got like a 50 or a 60 last week. We know playing that midfield role is still pretty good. But, you know... So I think out of these... I'm thinking probably Darcy Cameron or Tim English are one of the two I would pick. Probably, again, depending on their matchup, who is going to be the opposing ruckman. But I think that's who I would pick, one of those two. And then for the forwards, obviously Rankin is not going to be available, you would think. Brian Myers, I think, is a valid pick here. Again, I'm not really keen to do any key forwards. I just think, especially in this format, they could really hurt you. Joel Fraser is available as a forward mid. Interesting. I think maybe we do have to do a key forward. Maybe we could try Grind Myers. We could do... we've gone Myers. Sean Manor could do the two... Maybe we shouldn't be doing two from the same team in case they have a bad game. Dylan Moore, I believe, has had a few good games in a row. Oh, you can't see his stats from here. But... Oh, and it jumped back. Yeah, so maybe... I think I wouldn't be going Riley. Jeremy Cameron maybe, but he could be up and down depending on what type of game it is. I mean, especially in finals too. Finals are, you know, tough, tight games. Can be often low-scoring games. So key forwards, they can really, you know, get shut down. So maybe Zach Bailey, he had a big score last week. Maybe that's a nice point of difference one. Not Darcy, maybe we'll go Zach Bailey. And then for your flex, I think probably going another mid would be the safest thing. And, you know, we went Dawson, Rao and Bont. So then I think I'd probably pick one of these top four mids, whether it be McCluggage, Dacos, Brayshaw. Brayshaw hasn't been in the best form the end of this season, so I think McCluggage, Dacos or Dunkley would be one of the ones I'm going to pick. Let's put Dacos in. Okay, cool. So save my team, and so this is obviously going to change depending on. We'll have a look at the matchups once the finals have actually been, released. The finals stuff, the finals fixture, not the stuff, the finals fixture. So once that's actually released, I think we'll have another look at it. But a quick look at something my team might look a little bit like this. And so then for vice captain and captain, so you're going to get double points for vice captain and triple points for captain. So I'd really be sticking to the midfielders. Potentially, you can maybe have a go at the ruck. Try to go if you want to be a little bit different. But, you know, I'd really be looking at making a vice captain a captain. Two of your midfielders, two of the ones you expect to get big scores. And that way, you know, I think you got the best advantage of getting the big scores. That's where this game's going to be won and lost. It's going to be won and lost in your vice captain and your captain choices. If they didn't have that option, everyone's score would be pretty similar. I'd assume that teams are probably going to be pretty similar. So the way you're really going to, you know, shine against other players is by picking your right vice captain and your right captain. And don't forget, you're getting double points for your vice captain as well. That's it's not, you know, if this one doesn't play, he gets it. As you can see, there's no emergencies, so you better make sure that whoever you pick is definitely playing. So check those team sheets, and yeah, and then make sure that, you know, you get your captain and you set your captain and your vice captain. If you forget, you're not going to win. You know, if you have your captain but no vice captain, you're definitely not going to do that well. If we say that, just say they don't make it, maybe we put Dunkley in there. If the Bont gets, if Freo win and Bont does not make it, maybe we put someone like Dunkley in, who's had a pretty good run in the last few weeks. So yeah, that's what I think. This is something to keep us a little bit interested. Like I said, I have the league for you guys up there. If you want to join a league with me, the code 219935. Give you guys a little bit of time. Probably next week when we do our review video, we'll mention it again. And yeah, sign up for that one. And so then you can kick my backside and rub it in my face. And that sounds like fun, right? So yeah, it looks, I mean, at least it's going to keep us a little bit more interested over the finals series. I mean, I like Supercoach at all, you know. I'm going to miss it with only, well, literally 5 weeks to go if you include this game, but I can't believe the season's gone as quickly as it has. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I'm going to have to wait 6 months to the next Supercoach season. And I definitely will be making videos again next year, and we'll be nice and early. Even when the team picker comes out about Christmas time, we'll probably do our first video with our first pick team. And then we will, obviously leading up to the beginning of the season, be doing quite a few videos, in-depth look at rookies, in-depth look at, you know, team strategy, all that type of stuff. So that's going to be really interesting and exciting. And two, I'm going to try and, you know, make the channel, you know, a little bit more interesting for you guys. So if you've got any suggestions for my channel, you know, maybe you would like to see some more segments, something different. You see someone else do something that you think, you know, might be good for me. I'm going to try and make it look a little bit more professional, and maybe have a few like different little segments and stuff going on, and that way a little bit more exciting for you guys. I'm going to step away for 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to be right back, so please don't go anywhere. Enjoy the footy clips, and I'll be right back.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Sorry about that, crew. I'm back. Like we're saying, yep, definitely going to be doing it again next year. Hopefully next year we might be able to, I know I'm only new to the Supercoach content this year, but hopefully we might be able to collaborate with a few of the other Supercoach content guys out there. If anyone's out there who is already doing content or looking to do content next year, maybe we can do a collaboration and get on there. It's always nice when we do these kind of live videos as well, if you got someone to chat to and bounce ideas off. So yeah, that could be a good thing. And if you're looking into doing, maybe you're looking at this and thinking, hey, I could be like a Supercoach YouTuber as well, give it a go. It's good fun. You know, if you need any advice or help, hit me up in the messages. I can always help you with you know, how to get started. and it's not that hard. If this old dude Seano can do it, I'm sure you guys out there can do it as well. So not very much people chatting out there. If you're out there, give me a bit of a chat. Say g'day. It's always nice to know who's out there and watching. But yeah, like I said, I can understand. It would be great if I could, have a chat with some of these other Supercoach people, and I think that'd be good for me and good for you guys as well. But obviously at the moment I'm still a bit of a newbie, so I understand if they don't want to chat with me. Not going to cry too much, but we'll definitely be doing videos, and I'll be there from right at the beginning. Like I said, we as soon as the team picker comes out, and team picker normally comes out about Christmas time. My birthday is around very close to Christmas, and I always say that quite a few years in a row the team picker came out on my birthday, so I always say it's like it's a birthday present. So yeah, right around Christmas time we'll go on, we'll pick a team, we'll have a look at the prices, we'll discuss who the I mean, at that time of the year you don't know who the rookies are, so at that time of year it's just really about who your primos are going to be and who your mid prices or discounted players you're going to pick. But the best way to do it is always you just put in random placeholders as your rookies, and then you pick your primos and your mid prices, and then once the proper Supercoach comes in, not just the team assistant picker or the assistant picker, you can start really looking at the rookies that are going to play. And you really don't know which rookies are going to play until the teams are named that very first week. So the other things we hope for, round 0, as a footy fan, I think round 0 is BS. As a Supercoach player, you get like a free hit. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I didn't mind it this year as a Supercoach player. As a footy fan, I detest it, so I won't mind if they get rid of round 0. And someone did mention that potentially the sub rule might go. That would be nice. That would help, as long as they don't limit the rotations, which would really hurt. If they start limiting rotations, then you're not only your sub dude, your rookie's going to spend half the game on the bench. But hopefully they just get rid of the sub rule, and whether they do or not, I don't know. The AFL like to change 20 million rules at the end of every season. I don't know about you guys. Does that really piss you off? Pisses me off. It's like they've got a rule committee, and that committee they think the whole committee is going to get fired unless they change half a dozen rules every year. Stop changing the rules every year. AFL is amazing, and it has been for 10, 20 years. You don't need to change a whole stack of rules every single year, and you certainly shouldn't be changing rules in the middle of the year. Leave the game alone, unless you're getting rid of the sub rule, which we should have never had in the first place. So if you're going to change a rule, if you're listening to this rule committee, you're going to be so desperate to change a rule this year, change the sub rule, leave the rest of the game alone. Maybe get rid of that fucking stupid stand rule as well. I don't know how many stupid 50-metre penalties and goals came from the stand rule. It doesn't make the game any better. It doesn't make the game any faster. These rules, I'm sure they just make them up just because they've got nothing better to do. They're worried they're going to lose their job unless they make up some stupid rule. Stop making up stupid rules, Have a season where you don't make up any rules, go to Bali, sit on a beach, drink a pina colada, and still get paid, and don't change any rules. Come on. How hard does that sound? Alright, so should we go back to normal Supercoach? If you've got any comments about the new Supercoach Finals game or questions, even though I guess I'm a bit of a newbie too, I've only had a quick look at it and a quick look at the rules. But yeah, if you've got any questions or, ideas, let me know down there at the comments, and that would be great. Right, let's go back to the Classic. So, do we want to have a little bit of a talk about the year and how it's been? We'll probably do a year in review video next week. But maybe because we're live, this potentially, I don't know if this will be the last live video, but we might do a live one in regards to the Supercoach finals. But I guess we can have a little bit of talk about how we went this year. No one's really chatting out there, so we could probably stay on for a little bit longer. How long have we been on for? We've been on for about 40 minutes or so. So if we go into our history, if you click on the history button, we can have a bit of a look at how we went. And as we said, we're pretty happy with our overall score. As you can see, it's a pretty consistent year. This here score, one of my worst my worst score in the beginning of the bye rounds. I think really what hurt me from getting a very good score this year was the bye rounds, and the reason being, I think the flex player makes the bye rounds a little bit different. In years past, you struggled to get 18 players on the field in the bye rounds because they had less byes and more teams were out on the single round. Whereas this year they had more rounds of byes and less teams out, which for Supercoach, even though it's annoying that you're not getting full scores, it kind of makes it easier because you're not struggling so much. You not only do you have the flex, but you've got more teams to choose on, or more players playing each round because there's less teams out for that bye round. So I went in with the old mentality of the years before, where I actually had quite a lot of players in every round. I don't think I had less than 20 or 21 players in every bye round. So there was no bye round where I was like struggling to get 18 on the field like I have. I remember in past years, some years I can't even get 18 on the field. I just have to like throw a round where I only had 16 or 17 players on the field. So again, do I love having so many bye rounds? As a footy fan, definitely not. I'd much prefer they just take a week off in the middle of the season and have maybe have a waffle versus VFL, or East versus West, something like that. Now the AFL are greedy and they want their money, and that's why they won't do that. But I'd prefer they just gave everyone a week off in the middle of the season instead of this stupid 7 or 8 weeks of byes. But for Supercoach wise, I guess the way they did it this way made it easy to field full teams. But like I said, I think next year you got to concentrate a lot more on how many primos you have every week. Not just getting, like I had 20 or 21 players every week, but quite often I lost more than half, I think, of my bye round matches because the players I was against just happened to have more primos that week. So even though I might have had 22 players playing, only 16 of them might have been primos, where my opponent would have 17 or 18 primos. So really got to look at that this year, and I think you really got to make sure that first bye round that you're going to have a pretty good team, and then you can use your boosts. Keep your boosts at least 1 or 2 for the bye rounds, and then really trade hard to make sure you've got lots of premiums in those bye rounds, and that will not only give you a good score, but also help you win your leagues. Where I could have, I snuck into the top 4 at the end of the season, but I think I could have convincingly got in there. If I had won a couple more of my bye round matches, I would have been potentially top scorer or top of my league. So that's something I'm going to really think about for next year. So as for scores, so I don't know how easy this is for you guys to see. So round 1 wasn't really you don't really know where you are until round 3. So round 1 we finished in we were in 12,000 overall, 14,500 round 2, and then in round 3, bang, down to 3,700. Well, that's the round you really kind of find out where you're at. We used 2 boosts. In a boost in round 2 and a boost in round 3. We made no trades in round 1, so that's pretty good. That's what you don't really want to trade in round 1 unless it's to replace an injured player. So you're waiting for rookies to go up, and if that's the thing we learned this year as well, hold on to those rookies a little bit longer, let them fatten up before you cull them, before the farmer takes them and chops their heads off and turns them into chicken drumsticks. You know, you got to hold on to them a little bit longer, make that extra money, and don't be so keen to trade so early. So these scores, these were through the buy rounds as well. There are a few buys in here. I think, you know, round was it 2, 4 and 5, something like that, were all buys. So we all scored about 2,000 in those rounds. And then after we came out of the buys, we got a few scores of about 2,100, and we kind of held out. We went from overall ranking, so we went from 3,700, 8,000, 8,900, 6,500, 6,200. By round 8, we were back to 3,500, with a score pretty close to scores of around. Oh, sorry, the scores are over here. That's the average. So yeah, these ones here are the buy rounds. So 2 would have been a buy round, 4 was a buy round. I'm pretty sure 5 was a buy round as well. And so once we came out of the buy rounds, 6 I don't think was a buy round. Rounds 7, 8, 9 and 10, we had very good scores of 2,400. At the beginning of the season, they're very good scores. And that's really what set me up for my, you know, decent ranking at the end of the season, with those 4 scores. And to be honest, I was a bit lucky to get those scores. A lot of them were due to captain choices. I had Gorn from the beginning, and I had the captain on him, and that's when he was going off. You know, I think one of these games would have been the game where he played the Eagles and got like 198. And so he had a very good run of scores, which allowed me to get these 2,400 scores. At this time of the season, you know, before you've started really trading and getting in a lot of primos, you're definitely not a full primo. You know, you got lots of rookies on the field. A 2,400 score is very good, and you're, I'm going to say, almost always going to go up, unless you're probably in the top 1 or 2, you know, 1% of players. With a 2,400 score at the beginning, this time of the season, you're going to go up. So then, when I think the buy started in round 12, so we had a bad score in round 11, which dropped us down quite a. So that at round 10, that's our lowest ranking of the year. We're at 2,360, and then the buy started where we're pretty rough. 1,700, which is that's the round position. So yeah, 1,700. To go right up to the top. So that was our ranking of 54,000, and the week before where I got 2,100, that was a round ranking of 69,000. So they really hurt me, and then as you can see, as the buys went, it just got worse and worse. We had a 1,800, which was also over 59,000 round rank. We had a 1,900, which was a 45,000 rank, and then we had a 2,000, which was a 40,000 rank. So, and then round 16 is also as a buy. We had a 20,000 rank with a 1,900. So that's where we really dropped. We basically, before the buys, we were, you know, take off this round 11, we were at 2,300 out of everybody, and then by the end of the buys, we were almost at 11,000. So this is why I'm saying that the buys really hurt me, and I think I really didn't take into account the difference at the flex, the extra trades, and how we should have approached it this year. So next year we really got to look and take account of that, and I think that's where, if I had played a little bit better and planned a little bit better for the buys, we could have potentially made the top 1,000 this year. So, you know, something to think of next year. But then again, as we spoke about, if I hadn't had Gorn as my captain for all those 2,400s, could have been a lot worse year too. We could have finished in about 15,000 or something like that. So it goes both ways, I guess. But yeah, it's just something to take into account for next year. As we came out of the buys, so we started a bit shaky with a 2,200, which was a round rank of 36,000. But then after that, we pretty much have had all good scores. So we had a 2,400, 2,500, 2,007, and the last 4 weeks have been excellent. So, you know, we came out of the buys, and since that first week out of the buys, we dropped 900 places, but since then we've gone down every week. You know, with those big scores, we've gone from 10,900 down to 5,800. So it basically dropped 5,000 places in. And the further you go during the season, the harder it is to drop places, just because everyone's teams seem to get a little bit similar, and people, they do start to draw away points wise. So last few weeks have been excellent. Like since round 20, you've got a 2,772, 2,738, 2,560, and 2,643. And a lot of that came from I didn't have as many trades as what I liked, but I didn't burn them like a lot of people have. There's a lot of people with no trades at the moment. A lot of people who were, went for it, used all their trades by the time they were around like 19 or 20, and then I've had to cop zeros because of injuries. And these injuries happen every year. So next year, we're going to remember, we're going to even try and keep more trades than what we did this year. When we come out of the bye rounds, we want potentially at least one trade per round. So if there's 8 games, we would like 8 trades. And I think this year we only had 5 trades. So that was how the season, we got our little badges here. We can't quite read. We'll make the league finals, which we did. We moved up 20,000 places in a round, in round ranks. Score over 2,200. Increase your team value by 3. My team value is not great. If we look at the team value, we got to 13.9 at the end, but a lot of people would have been at this almost 14 million, probably 5 or 6 rounds ago. So a lot of people can afford that 23rd primo, which we couldn't afford. And I think next year, getting that 23rd primo is going to be a big deal. Having a loop option of a primo is a great way to win your leagues, and also a great way to get a bigger score. If one of your primos fails, you can substitute it for another one who like we were doing in that other league that I showed you. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to very much aim to achieve next year. Hold the rookies a little bit longer, let them fatten up, aim to get that 23rd primo. Also aim to get aim to do better during the finals. Also, if we go, you can also go to list view. So who was my best scoring player for the entire season? Well, the best, I actually thought, so Bontempelli is actually outscoring Gawn. I mean, as averaging total score, Gawn's going to win. He's going to get the most in the league again, I believe. Old man still keeps getting it done. I picked him from the beginning too, because I didn't have him the year before, and that really hurt me. Watching him score those big scores. And this year, like I said, I think he really set me up for a very, very good start to the year. So I'd be very tempted to start him again next year, depending on what other options that we have. I think the starting rucks could be very interesting this next year. I think it could be very interesting. So I think average is still better. So Bont is the best average in the team at almost 700k is at the moment. I think at the beginning of next year he'll be one that I'll just pay up for. I'm not going to pay up over 600k for more than 3 or 4 players. If you're not a captain option, you're definitely not getting a start up in my team if you're more than 600k. If you're not a guaranteed captain option every week, but people like Bont and Gawn could definitely be. Rao, 3rd best player in my team, and I got him super cheap, and now he's almost 700,000 as well. Bailey Smith, who we missed at the beginning of the season, so that would have been nice if we could have got him from the beginning, could have saved ourselves a trade there. And Butters coming in at the 5th best player in my team by average for the year. Now, looking at this, everyone except Rao, and I guess Bailey Smith in the forward line, you would have expected it, but to be him better than most of the midfield as well, we probably didn't, or we thought it was a possibility, but we didn't really call it that it was going to be that good at the beginning of the season. I mean, if I thought he was going to be that good, I would have started him, which I did not. So I think all of these players who out of these players will I consider starting next year? probably only Bont or Gawn and Butters. The three of those are the only three I'm thinking. Rao, I think, is just too expensive. Butters at 530 is going to be a bargain, so he'll be one of the first picked if he stays around this price. I think Bailey Smith at 590 and probably be a mid only. He's too expensive. Matt Rowell at 670 is probably going to be too expensive. Gawn is going to be a guaranteed captain choice, so I think he's fine at if he's around 650. And Bont, if Bont's 700, it'll depend. It'll depend. You really want Bont in the team, but at 700, maybe you could get two players that can score more in. So coming in at 6 is Nick Dacos, 7th Nat Wanganeen Malera. So he's the top. They're all basically midfields or rucks until you get to Wanganeen Malera, who even at 630, I don't think I'll be paying that for him next year. Nick Dacos at 630. And usually at the beginning of the year, you'll find that if it's like last few years, whatever the price they end on, it'll go up a little bit. So if Dacos finishes on 630 this year, he might be priced at 650 next year. That's just how it's kind of worked in the last few years. But, you know, so I'm assuming it's going to be the same. So Nick Dacos at 650, I think we will wait. Even Wanganeen Malera, we won't pay up that. We saw this year that everybody comes down. The only player that has not come down that I could think of is Bailey Smith. Bailey Smith started cheap and went crazy. And he hasn't been below about 580 or so for weeks and weeks and weeks. So he's almost at 600k now. So he's the only one who hasn't come down. Every other player came down and to 550ish or less. So I think looking at that, you don't want to be paying up next year, and that's going to be my plan. You pick your one or two captain choices, and they're allowed to be over 600k, and all my other premiums are going to be 500 to 550, and they're going to be guys that I think can potentially be the top 6 in their line or very close to it, but just were a little bit off this year. So, you know, obviously, I think if Butters is 550 at the beginning of next year, he is an automatic pick. Should be the number one pick in your team, I think, at 550k. That's it. And I mean, if you're out of your Supercoach finals and everything, maybe you should start hoping that a few of these players have, like, you don't want Butters to get 580 this week if you're out of your Supercoach finals. You'd probably like him to get a 60 and drop, you know, what's his break even is. Oh, I can't see your break evens from there. Okay. So, you know, you probably hope that he drops, you know, another 10 or 20k. If you get Butters for like 515 or 520k, that'd be awesome. If he finishes his score on 530, if my predictions are right, he'll probably start the season at 550 next year, which I still think is a bargain, and he'll be one of the first players picked. We go down. Brayshaw could be at this price, could be another good pick at the beginning of next year at under 550. I don't think I'll pay 70 plus for Sinclair at the beginning of next year. English probably won't be a starting ruck for me, especially at that around about that price next year. Won't be a deal. Sheasel at this price, I guess, won't be starting as well. Lockie Whitfield at if he's at 520 now, if he's under 550 at the beginning of next year, could definitely think about starting him. Bailey Dale at 500, if he's less than 550 next year, could definitely think about starting him as one of my primo defenders. Zorko, I mean, he might just be too cheap to ignore. If he's under 500,000, he might just be one that you want to lock in, and you know he's been a bit up and down, but he can produce these big scores. He hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's got an average of 100 for a year for a player at the moment that's, you know, at 460. So, you know, McRae, I mean, I don't know if I'll pick McRae again next year, even if it's cheap, until I see what's going on. He's just not getting the time on ground. I don't understand why Ross Lyon is doing this. He's got one of the best points per minute in the game, you know, or for St Kilda, that's for sure. So points per minute, 1.1. That's really good. Like, you know, these players are 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, so he's right up there with points per minute. He's just not getting the time on ground. He's only playing half a game, so I'm not too sure what's going on with that, whether they're just, you know, thinking he's an old man and giving him a break, or they're trying to blood some of these younger midfielders there at St Kilda, like Philippou and who's the other one? I want to say Lucas, but his name's not Lucas, the guy who's been playing the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think I'll stay away until I have a look at McRae. Again, all these guys like him, Rankinine, Darcy, I don't think I'll be paying like up for those guys, especially in the forward line. So, and then we can go down. I mean, Tom McCarthy coming in at 21 on average. So I think, you know, overall, not too bad. And like we were just talking about, if we go back and look at this league, so this will be the plan. What I've tried to learn this year, and I think we did write some things down. Did we go? Supercoach plan. 2026 Supercoach plan. Can I make this bigger for you guys? Guns and rookies. So we want to go less mid prices. We want to stick more to guns and rookies. No more than one mid pricer in each line. And I'm thinking mid prices are 350 to 450k, or 300 to 450k. As I'm going to regard as a mid pricer. 2 gun rucks. Even though this might change, I mean, I'm thinking a little bit of Sam de Koning is their only ruck wherever he goes, and he's priced at whatever he is at the moment. He's like at less than 400k. He's going to be, I think, it's one that you're probably just going to have to pick. No more than one 550k player in each line max, and hold the primos, no sideways, which are the ones. And then the other thing here is. Look for the buys. Try to get 18 primos. Not just 18 players on the field. Were there any others that we discussed? Any other hints that you guys can think that we should be thinking about? Hey, the ladies, man. I happened to just catch you, Causa or Corey, on the Supercoach Supercoach sword play the other night for the quiz. I did see you there, buddy. Well done. How you going, mate? Good to see you. Captain Sheasel. You would have been a draw. Wow. You still never won your league. You only play the one. If you only play the one, I mean, I only played 2 leagues this year in Supercoach Classic, and I lost them both. Some years I play 4 or 5 leagues, where when I do that, most years I'll win at least one premiership. But I did talk a little bit about it earlier on. The only one I'm in the running to win a premiership in the sports deck one. I'm in 2 premierships here, so at least I got a chance of winning in some form of fantasy or Supercoach, but not in the one that I really love, Supercoach. I'm not going to win a league, but I should wonder if I'll get it. One year I bought a Supercoach ring. Do you know you can go to, there's a site where you can go and buy, like people get a Super Bowl ring, or they get a ring in the States when they win. So one year I bought this ring. It was about $100 to buy the ring, and for the people in my league, because I knew everyone in my league and we competed for it, and I won that league, and I've still got the ring there. So some of those things are good. I used to also print out every year, if you win your league, you get a little printout, like a little certificate that says, hey, you won the league, and usually I print it out. I don't know if I've still got them. I should keep them, but I haven't. But so it's a bit unlucky, Corey. Good to see you, though, mate. well done on being on the sword play. We're out there with the sword play boys. I was saying earlier on, hopefully I can make a few improvements to my YouTube channel, and maybe I get to, I don't know if I'm in the class to mix it up with the sword play boys, but maybe I'll get hopefully be able to do a collaboration with a few of the other YouTube people. You played more, but you never won your main leagues. You won main league. Cool. Are you going to play Supercoach Finals, Causa? I do have a league code up there if you would like to be in my YouTube Supercoach Finals League. So anybody else out there watching too, don't forget it's up the top there of the chat. League code 219935 if you want to join that league and kick my backside in the new Supercoach Finals game. Have you had a look at the Supercoach Finals game yet, Corey? What do you think? What do you think? So, and yeah, we were just... Yeah, praying dogs. Well, for the team, I want Bont. But I'm a West Australian boy, so I am an Eagles supporter, but if the Fremantle don't make it to the finals, I got to listen to all my poor mopey Freo friends for the next 6 months. And it'll make finals more interesting for me if Freo make it, because they'll all want to watch the game. I might even host the game at my house, 1 week. Some years we host the grand final at my house. So it'll make it a lot more interesting for me if Fremantle make it through. But, for that Supercoach team, I would really like to pick Bont as well. And honestly, unfortunately for my Freo friends, Bulldogs are looking really good. I'm surprised that they're not further into the 8 and they can be knocked out. I think it'll be for either of these teams gets knocked out, Bulldogs and the Fremantle, which one will, it'll be a really disappointing season for them, because they both had very good seasons and they both got very good teams. And I don't know, if I was to look, where is it? As the ladder goes, I mean, are Fremantle and Western Bulldogs better than GWS? Or better than Hawthorn? It's actually very close, and even Gold Coast are hanging out there as well. So, yeah, Gold Coast have to win, but they've got a game less. If Gold Coast lose, they both could make it, right? If Gold Coast lose, they could both make it. But if Gold Coast win one of these games, they only have to win one. If Gold Coast win one game, they're in. Yeah. If that's the way I'm reading the ladder. If Gold Coast they missed that game at the beginning of the season, so they've only played 21, where everyone else played 22. If they, let's bring it over. I'll bring it over so you guys can see it. This is the way I'm reading it. So Gold Coast are on 56 points, but they've only played 21 games. So if they play another game, which they're going to play the 2 games, they'll move up to 60 points, which basically, if they play that game today, that would move them above the Bulldogs. But they have a higher percentage than Freo. So if Bulldogs were to beat Freo, Bulldogs also have a much higher percentage. So both of those would move up and Freo would drop down. If Freo beat Bulldogs, it keeps them on 56 points and then they move up. If Gold Coast lose 2 games in a row, then both Bulldogs and Freo make it. So Gold Coast have to either lose 2 games in a row, and this week Gold Coast play Port, so you'd probably say they got a good chance of winning that game. And then the other game, I'm not too sure who they play against, so you'd probably back Gold Coast to win one of those games, but they only need to win one and they guarantee themselves into the finals, where if they lose both, they're out. And if they lose both, Freo and Western Bulldogs both make it through, and if they don't, then it's whoever wins out of Freo and Western Bulldogs whoever wins goes through and whoever loses goes out. That's the way I read the ladder. So yeah, I think that could be interesting. Corey, I don't know if you'll hear earlier, but I just quickly, so I did a quick pick of the team who I like, and I took Bont out just because for Dunkley. And also, Corey, did you know that your vice captain is worth double points and your captain is worth triple points? Both of them you get points for. So whatever you do, don't forget to chuck the VC and the C on. I picked the two. This obviously I'd like to see the matchup before I pick, but all the matchups are probably pretty difficult. So I picked these two. I had Dawson Rao, and I had Bond here as well. Why can't I see the Bond anymore? Because it's not on average. Yeah, so that would be nice. But, I mean, look at it this way. Everyone's going to pick Bont Corey. If they don't go through, then it might make things a little bit interesting. Everyone's going to have Bont. Unless, if they don't make it through, it could make it a little bit more interesting. This pick here, that's why I was trying to pick. Do I pick McCluggage? Do I pick Bailey Smith? Do I go Brayshaw? Noah Anderson? Dunkley? So, yeah, this is the team I kind of quickly picked. Oh, go away. Cancel. Okay. So we've still got a week to go. Obviously, we need to see if what the teams and what the matchups are, but at least it's going to keep us occupied for the final series. Like I say, I am barracking for Freo. A lot of people think that West Coast people hate Freo people. It's not the case at all, really. You can't really go anywhere without finding a group of friends, without some supporting Freo and some supporting Eagles. We're about 50-50. Obviously, it's easier to support Freo when we're both not playing finals or whatever. If Freo play Eagles in the finals, there's no, or we're shooting for a final spot, there's no love lost. But when the Eagles aren't doing well, I guess I will support Freo just for my friends, just to make it more interesting for me and to make it so I can enjoy watching the footy with my friends. But I don't really care if they make it through. It just makes it more interesting if they make it through. I care because I don't want to listen to my friends whinge and complain. What about you guys? Does anyone have like a second team? Corey, do you have... I forget who you said that you support, but do you have a second team that you like support, or is it just your team and you hate everybody else? It's like it's your team and your team forever. Now, don't get me wrong. For years and years and years, I said anybody who supported Freo, supported West Coast Eagles, and then went to Freo was a traitor. I still kind of believe that. If you supported Eagles all your life, and then Freo comes along and you're like, I'm going to support Freo. I'm like, no. Same as if you were like a Brisbane supporter, then Gold Coast comes along and you're like, I'm going to support Gold Coast. No, you don't just change your team. I know this one guy who supported Eagles. He was a mad, fanatic Eagles supporter. Everywhere he went, he wore an Eagles jumper. I swear if he went to a wedding, he'd be wearing an Eagles jumper. And then I met him like 5 or 6 years later, and I was talking about the Eagles. He's like, I support Freo now. I was like, what do you mean you support Freo? What do you mean? You damn traitor. And yeah, so I'm a pretty loyal type of person. So, I'm going to stick with my team always, even though we've been pretty shit the last 4 years. I mean, it still doesn't change the absolute dynasty that is the West Coast Eagles, and I still think, I don't know, it's probably getting out of it now, but we're still being the most successful team in the way of making finals since the AFL was formed. Even though a few more years of us not making the finals, that might change. But yeah, I think we've made more final series than any other team since the AFL was being made the AFL. And of course, we still have one of the biggest fan base, and we're still paying for clubs. still one of the most successful money-wise teams, and we pay for teams like, Gold Coast and stuff to survive, along with the other big teams like the Collingwoods and stuff of the world. So, yeah. Do we have much else to chat about today? We were chatting about things to do next season. I don't really know. I'm not really looking at any players yet, but let's have a look at that. We'll go players. If players were the price they are now, who would I be picking next year and starting? So let's go to defenders to start off with. So, like I said, not picking anybody over 600k unless you're a guaranteed captain position. So that goes, 630, Wanganeen Malera, I love you, but you're out. Jack Sinclair at 570, I think you're probably out too at that price. Max Holmes at 580, you're probably out at that price. Lockie Ash at 508, lock him in. If he's around that price next year, lock him in, get him. Sheasel at 570, I'm really hoping that Sheasel might be a mid-forward next year. And as a mid-forward, he'll be one of my first players picked, even at 570. I think he'll easily be the number one forward if he is, but he could also just get a straight mid. And as a straight mid, I won't be getting him at 570. Jordan Clark at 510 next year, I think would be almost a guaranteed starter in my team. Bailey Dale at a 500 could also be one of those starters. Zorko at 560. Depends on who else is available. Lockie Whitfield at 520 could also be a guaranteed starter. So, you're like, why don't you get Wanganeen? He's got the highest score, because Wanganeen Malera could easily come down, where you never know that Lockie Whitfield could score the same score as him and be, you're starting off at 80k cheaper. And that 80k, as shown this year, can go a long way. So, I think they're all very valid. Connor Rosie, if he still gets defender mid or defender status and he's under 500k, is a definite, be looking at starting him. So you're going to have lots of choices in defence, and I don't think there's going to be any need to pay up more than 550k. You're not going to need to pay more than 550k for your defenders, and it might be a case of loading up on defenders a little bit. Maybe we did that this year and it didn't exactly work. But if you're finding the midfielders a little bit more expensive, maybe they're 560, 570, but you can get a Jordan Clark for 510 and you think they're going to score fairly similar, maybe that's going to be the way to go. So there's going to be lots of options in defence. I don't think defence is going to be very hard to pick next year. Let's go to mids. So 630, not paying that for day cost. 530 I think is reasonable for Brayshaw. We can do that. Dunkley 616 won't be paying. Jordan 613 won't be paying. Won't be paying 670 for Matt Rao. Tom Liberatore had a really good year this year. I've had him a couple of years before that where he has been injury prone. He's played every game this year. He's been very good. So can he do it again, Tom Liberatore? Maybe at 550. Ed Richards at 550 I think is going to be a valid pick. George Hewitt at 520 could easily be a good starting pick. Like, I'm looking at players that I think could be the top 8. Could be top 8. So we should be going by average here actually. So, Bont, McCluggage, no, they're all too expensive, these guys. Butters, 100%, less than 550, lock him in. Be one of my number one picks. Dacos too expensive. Brayshaw, reasonable. Noah Anderson, 560. He's at that. I call that in the ballpark of picking. Not too bad. Dunkley, no, too expensive. Jordan Dawson, no, too expensive. Tom Liberatore set up, maybe. Ed Richards, a maybe. Finn Callahan at 599 is too expensive. George Hewitt's definitely a maybe. Tom Green at 530 I think is going to be a reasonable starting. You're going to have to consider him starting. Well, I will be. Jack Sinclair too much. Holmes cost too much. Talk Miller. Talk to the Miller. No, Took Miller. 540 could be an option. Isaac Heaney, I think, is just a bit up and down. That price is going to be too expensive. Zach Merritt at 500. if we returns to his full, if in the preseason games he seems to be playing full midfield, he'll be an absolute bargain, and probably as long as he has that role back, should be in everyone's starting team at 500. Even Caleb Sarong at 515 will be a definite option at the beginning of the year. Lockie Neal 530 could be an option. I know he's on a lot of people's no-go lists for the future. Eric Goulden, I think, could be a very good option at 500. We already talked about Rosie McRae, no. Loud, no. Cadwell, if he comes back and he's playing well, could be an option at 530. He did score very well when he did play. Will Ashcroft, been up and down this year, could next year be the year he moves up? I would think with the current midfield at Brisbane, there's just not a lot of places to share, especially if his brother Levi is getting a bit of time through the midfield as well. If a couple of people left Brisbane, a couple of midfield, maybe he's not going to have, but maybe Lockie Neal retires and, McCluggage or Dunkley moves somewhere else. I think Will Ashcroft at that price could be very nice. Sam Walsh, I think, could be a very good pick next year at under 500. Definitely be considering him as again, I think he could finish in the top 8 of midfielders. Just hasn't had the best season this year, a lot of injuries and stuff. So, he's one who's less than 550 that could be potentially a top 8. Anybody else? I think Will Day, again, we'll probably consider him next year. I'd like to see him be quite a bit cheaper than this, though. If he's at this price, I don't know if I'd consider him. If he was 420, 430, close to the 400, I think you'd have to seriously consider him again to start the season. Better off to start an injury-prone player than to bring one in. So you can start him and trade him out, that's fine. But if you bring him in and then they get injured and you have to kick him out again, that's 2 trades. But if you start them at the beginning of the season, especially if they're cheap, you got a chance of one, them making you some money, one doing well. Like Libba is the perfect example, has been quite injury prone the last couple of years. If you started him at the beginning of the season, you'd be loving life. Bringing him in might have been, it would have worked out okay, but it might not have as well. You could have had one of these Jason Hall-Francis situations where he's in and he's out and he's in and he's out, and like that. Sarah at 440, I think this is almost a pricing mid-pricer. Where did he start this year? What was his price at the beginning of the year? 447, so almost exactly the same as what he started this year, and he was a great pick this year, so one that I missed out on, so I might jump on that next year at that same price. And we saw that he went up and he's been down, he's been up, but I think he could be one that we'd be considering. Cripps, if Cripps could get back at 500, I think I wouldn't be taking that risk. LDU at 490, I think, even though we got a 157 here, is one that it might be. I guess LDU is possible he could make the top 8. He has the potential to do it, so maybe he's one to consider. I think he'd be a bit of a pod. And then, so I think that's probably the mids that you'd really be thinking about. Like I said, the ones that are like 550 or below, or very close to that 550 mark. Rucks, I think, is going to be pretty interesting. So you're going to have, I really would like, if Luke Jackson holds his DPP status, which I don't think he's going to, don't think he's played anywhere near enough forward to hold that forward ruck status. He might get mid-ruck. And if he does that, I would love, if he holds a forward ruck status, I will be paying this price for him, and I'll be putting him in my flex because he has the ruck and the other option. And we pray that Darcy doesn't play. Otherwise, I think Sherry at this price is almost going to be, you're going to have him. He'll be closer to 600k because he's only got a break even at 47 this week. So if he gets 120 this week. So if he gets 120, he'll go up by about 40k. So he'll be close. He'll be around 600. Ron Marshall at 560 could be a starter. I think you're probably going to want... But see, Tom De Koning, if there's any sign that he's going to be playing solo ruck at less than 400k, you're going to have to pick him. So I wouldn't be surprised if you would find my ruck line to look something like a big boy, like a Gawn. I'm not paying that too much for Grundy. Too much, he'll come down. So I wouldn't even be surprised if it was something like a Gawn or a Cherry and a Tom De Koning, depending on which club he's at and depending on if he's playing solo ruck or not. Otherwise, if he's not playing solo ruck, probably just two big boy rucks, Cherry, Gawn, maybe just Cherry and Gawn again. Two captain choices every week. There's no other. I don't mind paying that little bit extra for Gawn if I think he's going to outscore everyone, and he did it this year, so I don't see why not. Cherry, I think, has got a good chance of being right there with him. Grundy, okay, so let's talk a little bit about Grundy. He has had one of the best second half to a seasons that you've ever seen. Amazing. You go back and look at it last year, you could never predict it. He was scoring 60s and 70s last year. You could have never, ever predicted it on what happened last year. So, or even the year before, I believe, when he was the, he went to, when he played at Melbourne. Was that when he played at Melbourne and they did the old Gawn-Grundy combo, which didn't really work? 760k, doesn't matter how good a season he had this season, is too much. He should come down, but it's going to hurt your Supercoach team too much. So no matter how much you want him, you shouldn't get him next year. And every year the player has had a blinder the year before. Usually the next year they don't have such a great year. Like Tim English is the perfect example, who had a massive year a couple of years back, and then the next year after that he just could not back it up. I know, because I bought him at prime price and I regret it. I paid almost $700,000 for him, I think, at the beginning of the season, and then he just dropped and never got to the heights that he did in the years before. So I think that's going to be the way. It's going to be, hopefully, Jackson, a dual position player, is going to be in my flex. If he's not dual position, it'll be a dual position. It'll be a midfielder or another dual position defender, probably in the flex position. So I think ruck is going to be reasonable as well. You're going to have lots of choices with the occasional, this will be really nice if De Koning can be a solo ruck somewhere, and but if they were talking about St Kilda, well, what's going to happen with Marshall? If De Koning and Marshall are playing in the same game, that's going to be neither of them are probably going to be that great if that's going to be the case. So, and if De Koning is still at Carlton and Pitnet plays, well, he's probably not going to be that great either. So we're kind of hoping that he gets an opportunity as a solo ruck somewhere, because at this price, that's going to be absolutely awesome. Alright, let's have one more look at the forwards. Now, this, I believe, will be the most difficult line next week. And my thinking now is next year, go super cheap. Super cheap autos, super cheap forwards next year. They've all, as we've seen, even the best forwards have been lucky to score 100 for these last few weeks. If one of your forwards gets 100, you pretty much do a little bit of a dance, because they're all scoring 80s and 90s. And so I'm not paying, 550k for someone who can score a 57. Now, Luke Jackson doesn't really count here, because he's going to have that ruck opportunity, and I will be buying him. I'm kind of glad he got the 57, to be honest, because it means that he's got to break even at 186, which means he'll be a lot cheaper next year. Well, he should be cheaper. He'll be able to get him for between 5 and 550, I think, next year. So that's going to be a pretty good deal, and he will probably be one of my first picked if he has that DPP position. Rank, I'm definitely not picking him. Darcy at over 500, I just don't think is going to be worthwhile. Nick Martin at this price, if he is available, if his knee is okay, I will be picking him at this price 100%. Could potentially be one of the top forwards. Has that option. The other one who we thought, Sheasel, playing his mid-forward role. I don't know if he's played enough forward to get that. Still spends a lot of time in the mid. But him and Sheasel are the only two that I would consider paying up for, and this is not even paying up. If Nick Martin was 550, I'd probably consider paying for him. So anything less than 500, he'll be my number one pick in the forward line if he's, no injury and ready to go. I'm not too sure how bad that knee is and whether it's going to keep him. Whether he's, if he has a pre-season and stuff, I think he'll be. Probably, and Shees was not available as a forward, he'll probably be the number one forward pick. Same as, these 460 guys, do you really, Jason Horne-Francis at 430, I think is also, we know he's got injured, but hopefully he can have a good pre-season at that price. Probably holds his forward mid status, I would think, hopefully. These are the price I'm looking to pay for 400 max, and I'm pretty sure I'll be picking a lot of players around that more expensive, maybe rookies, or really drop down to if Jeremy Cameron can get you 46, why are you paying 500k for him? You might as well get a 250k player, like the Philippus or whoever of the world. And a lot of these players, they're just not. I think I'd prefer to pay. Even like someone like James Peeling, I'd prefer to pay 320 for him and him potentially get an 86 than to pay 450 for a Corey Warner, who can also get you can get you a 50 or a 60. So I think the forward line is going to be very difficult, and I think I'm going to go very cheap. Lots of rookies, hopefully rookies that are not straight off the out of the draft. Rookies that have played, a bit like we had Sam Powell-Pepper this year, who I bought in and then traded out like the idiot that I am. And then he went on to proceed to have a great season and get lots of money, make lots of money. Rookies like that. I think rookies like that. And the other one I just thought about in the midfield, Hayden Young is going to be probably a mid-pricer that I'll be considering in the midfield next season. He's going to be a very cheap, I believe. So I think the forward line, I'm not paying. Brian Myers, he had a great season, but I'm not paying 520. I'm not paying 500 plus for any forward who I don't feel like is going to be. If you can't get me 100 every week consistently, I'm not paying 500 for you. I prefer to invest that money in there's going to be too many defenders that are around 500k who can get you 100 every week and get a big 100, and as opposed, you're better off having a 300k player who gets you or even a rookie that gets you a 60 in the forward line, and a 500k, instead of having 2 or 3 primos in the defence, have 4 primos in defence or 5 primos in defence, and have stock up on the rookies in the forward line. We always say that rookies define how your team starts, which is exactly how it is. So if there's a lot of good defensive rookies, you might need them, but usually the rookies that make you the most money are the defense and midfielders. Usually midfielders number 1 and defense number 2. So the rookies that make you the most money. So I think forwards are going to be the trickiest line to pick, and you're going to have to. That's my plan. Get more midfielders and defenders, and don't pay up for forwards. So I don't think we can't look at what my team looked like at each week, can we? Team. Thought of some of the other ones you could also. So history. No, list. You can't. Sometimes I thought maybe it's the other ones where you could have looked at the round. What your team looked like in round 1 and what your team looked like in round 2. we're not able to do that. And just so, last thing on that, I think we won't go on too much longer, crew. I think we've had a pretty good stream. We've had a chat to the ladies, man. I know it's in the morning, so it's a bit hard for you guys to chat. But don't forget, if you're still watching too, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like the video and leave me a comment down below. Let me know about who you are planning on getting next year, if there's any ones that you're thinking of getting, planning. And in this team I have now, starting team next year, who can I see being in the starting team? I can see Whitfield being in the starting team. I can see Dale being in the starting team. I can potentially see Zorko being in the starting team. I can see Bont being in the starting team. I cannot see Rao. I cannot see Dacos. I can't see Sheasel unless he's a forward. I cannot see Sinclair in the starting team. Brayshaw potentially. Zach Butters is almost definitely going to be in the starting team. Marek probably not in the starting team. Gawn could potentially be in the starting team. English, I don't think English will be in my starting team. Bailey Smith won't be as a mid only in my starting team. Darcy at 513 won't be in my starting team. Daniel very light will be a defence only and won't be in my starting team. McRae will be a mid only and he will not be in my starting team. Petrarca at 560. It's potential. I think Petrarca has potential to go big and be big. He's just had a couple, not too sure what's going on. He's had some really good years, but this year just hasn't been the year. I'm not too sure if it's an overall thing with Melbourne. Like Clayton Oliver didn't have a great year either. Do they need a little bit more help there in the midfield? Is it just not working out for them well? I'm not too sure why he's not putting up the big scores. And Mr. Warner will not be in my team at the beginning of the season. Rankinine will not be in my team at the beginning of the season, who we got rid of last week. And McCarthy, doubt very much McCarthy will be in my team at the beginning of next season. So, yep, I think we'll probably leave it at that for today, guys. If this is the last video you watch of me, don't forget, we will do one more review video. So please watch that one if you can and like that one. I know there's not as much interest, but yeah, that would be great if you could watch that last one. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And yeah, I think if it is the last one, thank you very much for your support. These are the videos I like the most, the ones where I can do them live and have a chat with you guys. I know it's in the morning, so not many people are chatting. Usually the Thursday afternoon ones are better, where we get a few more people chatting. And hopefully next year we might be able to collaborate with a few other content creators, and so we can get a bit of banter going with somebody else out there. I might even bring in one of my mates in, and we can both chat and talk at the same time. We can see if that works. One of my other Supercoach tragic mates. So I guess that's it. So I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will speak to you all again very soon.